Let's look at the math, because the math doesn't care about your feelings. In 1980, the average American home cost 3 times the average yearly salary. Today, in major cities, it costs 8 to 10 times the average salary. Do you understand what that means? It means the game you are playing is mathematically impossible. You aren't struggling because you buy too many lattes. You are struggling because you are playing by a set of rules that expired in 2008. You feel the walls closing in, don't you? The grocery bill is up 30%. The rent is up 50%. But your paycheck is crawling. You assume this is a temporary slump. You assume things will go back to normal. They won't. Here is the dark truth that economists discuss in private, but never say on TV. The middle class was a historical accident. It was a temporary 50-year anomaly created by the post-war boom. It is not the default state of capitalism. The default state is what we are seeing right now, a massive gap between the asset class and the working class. We are not entering a recession. We are entering a correction. We are reverting to the historical norm, lords and serfs, or in modern terms, investors and renters. The great economic purge is already here. The ladder hasn't just gotten steeper, it has been pulled up. And the scariest part, the safety net you are relying on, your savings account, is actually the rope that is going to hang you. Let me explain why. To understand why you are feeling squeezed, you have to stop looking at the economy as a single line. The economy is no longer a V shape or a U shape. It is a K shape. Visualize the letter K. The vertical line is the crisis. The 2 arms represent the aftermath. The top arm represents the asset class, people who own stocks, real estate, and businesses. The bottom arm represents the wage class, people who sell their time for money. Getty Images explore. Here is the mechanism of the purge: asset inflation. When the government prints trillions of dollars, that money doesn't disappear. It acts like a vacuum. It sucks value out of the currency, your salary, and blasts it into assets, the rich. This creates a terrifying reality, where the price of survival, food and gas, creeps up slowly, but the price of freedom, houses, and equity skyrockets. Let's look at the hard data. If you kept $50,000 in a savings account from 2020 to 2023, you lost roughly 17% of your purchasing power. You stayed still, but you got poorer. But if you owned a home in Austin or Miami during that same time, your net worth increased by 60%. This is the great divergence. You didn't work less hard than the homeowner, you just held the wrong vehicle. One vehicle, cash, has a leak in the tank. The other vehicle, assets, has a turbocharger. Now, this sounds bleak. But here is the good news. The system is rigged, but it is predictable. And predictable systems can be beaten. You just need to stop playing by the rules of the bottom arm and start playing by the rules of the top arm. But if you stay on the bottom arm, if you keep selling your time for a currency that is melting, you are going to face something far more dangerous than inflation. Let's talk about the day-to-day reality of this purge. Let's talk about the treadmill. You know the feeling. You work hard all year. You crush your targets. You get a 4% raise. You celebrate. But then you go to the grocery store, and the bill is 10% higher. Your insurance premium went up 12%. Your rent just jumped 15%. Mathematically, you are poorer today than you were the day you got hired. This is the invisible tax. They aren't taking the money out of your bank account. They are taking the value out of your money. You are running at full speed on a treadmill that is set to sprint, just to stay in the exact same spot. And nowhere is this more brutal than the housing trap. For 50 years, the middle-class promise was built on home ownership. You get a job, you save for a few years, you buy a house. That ladder has been pulled up. In many major cities, the down payment alone is now close to, or even higher than, what your parents paid for their entire home. This creates a mathematical impossibility. You are saving in a currency that is melting, while trying to buy an asset that is exploding. The asset prices are moving faster than your ability to save. You aren't just losing the race, you are running on a track that is dissolving beneath your feet. This creates a specific type of silent panic. You look at your life and you realize you aren't actually secure. You are just fragile. What happens if you lose your job tomorrow? What happens if you have a medical emergency? For most of the middle class, the answer is ruin. You have nice clothes, a leased car, and a Netflix subscription. But you have zero actual solvency. We need to redefine the term. Middle class used to mean stability. Today, middle class is just poor with good credit. The system has effectively turned you into a high-functioning serf. You have just enough to keep working, but never enough to stop. And here's the part nobody tells you. You aren't failing. You are being contained. And if the game is rigged against the worker, then you must stop being a worker. We have established that the game is rigged against the worker. So the logical conclusion is simple. You must stop being a worker. In a high-inflation environment, the complexity of the economy collapses into a simple binary. There are only two species left: owners and livestock. Now, I know that word triggers you. It triggered me for years. It sounds dehumanizing, but I am not calling you livestock. I am telling you that the system views you as livestock. Look at the mechanics. To the system, a worker is an asset to be managed. You are fed just enough salary to keep showing up. You are housed in a rental unit to keep you safe. And you are milked via taxes and inflation until you are too old to produce. It isn't personal. It is just the business model of the farm. If you are selling your time for money, you are vulnerable. You are trading a finite resource, time, for a currency that is being devalued by the trillions. The owner plays a different game. The owner holds equity. Equity is a piece of a business, a brand, or a digital asset. Unlike cash, equity does not get eaten by inflation. It rides the wave of inflation. When the government prints money, the price of bread goes up, hurting the worker. But the price of assets goes up, enriching the owner. This is the secret. Inflation is a wealth transfer mechanism. It acts like a siphon, draining purchasing power from the people who hold cash and injecting it into the people who hold assets. You need to undergo a violent identity shift. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow, but you must stop identifying with it. Your job is not your life. It is your seed funding. You use the salary from the job to buy or build the assets that eventually replace the job. And listen, ownership doesn't mean you need to buy a skyscraper. Ownership starts tiny. It starts with one share of stock, one digital product, one piece of intellectual property. It starts the moment you stop asking, "How can I get a raise?" and start asking, "How can I own a piece of the machine?" But you might be thinking, "I don't have the capital to buy in." Good news, in 2026, you don't need capital, you need a lifeboat. So, how do you escape the burning building? How do you go from livestock to owner? If you feel trapped at the bottom arm of the K, you build a lifeboat. In the old world, you needed capital to become an owner. You needed a loan, a factory, or a storefront. In 2026, the barrier to entry has evaporated. You don't need capital, you need leverage. Leverage is the only way one human being can compete against a trillion-dollar economy. There are three forms. 1, labor, people working for you. 2, capital, money working for you. 3, code and media, robots working for you. The first two require permission. The third one is permissionless. You can write code or record content once, and it will work for you forever. This video you are watching right now is a digital employee. It works 24/7. It doesn't ask for a raise. It doesn't take sick days. And you can build this same army. This is the Lifeboat Strategy. You don't quit your job today. You keep the job to pay for your survival. But from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., you stop watching Netflix. and you start building digital equity. You start a newsletter, you build a brand, you create a digital product. Why does this work? Because digital equity scales. Your job pays you for hours. The internet pays you for impact. It rewards repeatable processes, not time spent. Your goal is to reach the crossover point. This is the specific month where your lifeboat generates more income than your job. This isn't just a financial milestone. It is the moment fear loses its grip on you. It is the first time in your adult life where you can actually breathe, because you know you are no longer dependent on the farm for your feed. Now, I know why you haven't started. The system is engineered to distract you. It hits you with high dopamine entertainment to keep you docile. But you have to break the addiction. The only thing stopping you from building a lifeboat is your willingness to turn off the screen that is keeping you poor. We are done with the economics. Now, look at the horizon. I want you to visualize the Titanic. When the ship hit the iceberg, people didn't panic. The lights were on, the music was playing, the waiters were pouring drinks. They stayed on the deck because normal felt safer than action. They waited for instructions that never came. That is where you are right now. You aren't just in the middle class. You are on the middle deck. Remember the receipt from the beginning of this video? That wasn't just inflation. That was the iceberg warning. The math told you this ship was taking on water long before you felt your feet get wet. The rich, the asset class, didn't wait. They saw the math and got on the lifeboats an hour ago. The poor are already in the water. And you? You are still debating whether or not you should start building a raft. You have to understand that nobody is coming to save you. The captain is gone. The lifeboats are privatized. The only way you survive the great economic purge is if you stop playing the violin, rip up the floorboards, and build your own vessel. Here is the moral of the story. In a collapsing system, the only safe position is ownership. You can stay on the deck and argue about whose fault it is, or you can start building. If you are ready to stop sinking with the majority and want the blueprints for the lifeboat, click subscribe. The ship is going down. Build now, or sink later.